You know what? I think I forgot to pay the meter at all.
Really?
Yeah. Oh my god, should I go chat?
Welcome back to this ridiculous channel. My name is Spencer, and today I have quite the treat for you. With this whole stay-at-home order being extended till July here in Los Angeles, there is no other place I'd rather be in the world than off the coast of España on a beach drinking a large, hefty pina colada. But since that's just not feasible at this time, instead of going to the beach, we are bringing the beach to us. Which leads me to this makeup look. So if you want to learn how I achieved this El Tropical eye makeup, paired with some beautiful, flawless, glowing skin, then keep on watching. To start, I'm using the Dewy skin cream from Tatcha, and I'm applying this to the model's face. I'm really focusing on pressing this into the skin so that way it's fully absorbed before we apply the foundation. For foundation, I'm using the Makeup Forever HD foundation sticks. I'll be sure to include the shade that I'm using here down below in the description box. And of course, I'll be including all other products I'll be using in today's tutorial down below as well. But I'll tell you why I like using this specific foundation quite often is because it's so versatile in terms of coverage. So you can build it up to be extremely full coverage, or you can sheer it out to give the skin a more natural appearance. It is a cream foundation, so if you're someone who tends to get oily, or if you like to have more matte skin, then you're definitely going to want to set this with powder. Otherwise, it will move and slide along the skin throughout the day. But going back to what I was saying about coverage, I'm trying to keep today's coverage extremely light and fresh and breathable. Because we're going for a tropical look, I want it to look like she just walked off from the beach and her skin is sun-kissed. To conceal the under eyes, I'm using the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Concealer. Since I used their foundation, I figured I would just keep it in the family and use their concealer as well, since I used to pair these back in the day. While this concealer looks like it's being packed on heavy underneath Veronica's eyes, I assure you that it's not. It's just extremely pigmented, and once I buff it out here in a minute with a beauty blender and blend it into the foundation, you'll see how seamless that it is. It's really beautiful, which goes back to why I enjoy using cream foundations so often. It's because you have the playtime to work with them. They're not going to dry down on you like a liquid foundation would. You have playtime to blend everything, and you have a little bit more control until you set it with the powders. So that's really convenient for someone who likes to take their time and have a little bit more control of their blending. Before I set the face with any powder, I'm going to first use our cream blush, which is the cream blush stick from Nars in the shade Orgasm. And with a fluffier blending brush, I'm just going to start pressing this into the apples of the cheeks, so that way we get a really natural sun-kissed look. Then to set the face, I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills translucent setting powder, and I'm ever so slightly going to start setting that under eye concealer. If you have any creasing that occurs, you're going to want to make sure you buff that out with your finger or a beauty blender or a brush before you set it with the powder, because once you set it with powder, it's going to be locked into place. After we've set the under eyes, I'm going to move along into bronzer. For bronzer, I'm using this Too Faced product, and with the blush brush, I'm softly just pressing that product into the areas that I want a little bit more depth in. It's almost like I'm setting the contour areas with the bronzer, but the bronzer isn't too dark. I'll make sure to leave the shade down below. And once I've shaded those regions and bronzed them up a bit, I'll go back into that Nars blush just to give it a little extra color in the cheeks, even though I'll still end up going in with the powder blush towards the end of the video that you'll see. But for this step of it, I'm not being too precise with the application. I'm really just buffing it into the areas of the face that I feel the sun would hit the most naturally. And then with the clean eyeshadow blending brush, I'm taking a bit more of the Anastasia Beverly Hills powder, and I'm kind of fine-tuning the areas that I would want to be set. So that includes the T-zone area, the eyelids, the corners of the mouth, around the nostrils, and then especially on the eyebrows. Setting the eyebrows before applying any kind of eyebrow product is a really important step in my routine, and I'm going to explain to you why here in just a minute. For brows, I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. This is in the shade Taupe, and the reason I like to set the brows with powder first is because the skin is still pretty slippery from the moisturizer and cream foundation we had used. So if I were to go right on top with the Brow Wiz, which is a wax-based formula, it's not going to dispense much product. But by mattifying the brow and skin, it gives the product a matte base to grip onto, therefore dispensing more pigment. It also helps with the longevity of the brow by keeping everything into place. Once I fill the brow to my desired amount, I'll then take the Brow Wiz to the front of the brow and start working on the detail by drawing on some brow hairs. I then take my brow gel from Benefit and set the brow hairs in place. Before I start the eye makeup, I'm applying a light amount of translucent powder to the under eyes to catch any fallout that we might have. And then for eyeshadow today, I'm using the Mini Pro Pigment Palette Volume 1 from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm beginning with that coral shade in the palette called B1, and I'm applying that to the lid starting from the inner corner. I'm packing that on with a dense eyeshadow brush and fanning that outwards to the outer corner of the eye. I'll then go in with that lavender shade called C2 in the palette, and with a fluffier blending brush, I'm beginning to work that pigment into the outer corner and up into the crease. You can see that there's really no strategy with my application here. Like most of my eye looks, I like a watercolor kind of effect, if that makes sense, where everything kind of just blends together and doesn't have much of a purpose. For those of you who know my style when it comes to eyes, I don't care for it looking like it took 2 hours to complete an eye look. It's all about balance, and when there's a sharp eyeliner involved, along with a cut crease and glitters and 6 different colors and a heavy eyelash, it's just too much, in my opinion. I love a more Parisian style appearance, where it looks like you spent maybe 1 minute dusting on the eyeshadow with your finger and ran out the door. Something about that effortless look is really confident and sexy, in my opinion. I'm continuing that lavender shade throughout the crease to start building up that color story. The slight hue of this shade will make the final result a little bit more interesting. This is the same shade I'll be using for shadow to smoke out the lower lash line slightly as well. To highlight the inner corner, I'm using shade A2 from the same eyeshadow palette, which is a really beautiful champagne toned shimmer. This will brighten up the inner corner for us. You may have noticed that I like to keep it simple by sticking to one eyeshadow palette for a look, so you don't feel the need to run out and buy 3 different palettes to achieve it. If you guys prefer this, or if you would rather I be more diverse and use multiple palettes, let me know down below in the comments. I'll then take a clean eyeshadow brush back and forth across the lid, and this just assures that everything is blended seamlessly. The last shade we're using from this palette is shade B2, which I'm applying to the center of the lid and blending upwards to give us a little shimmer. And because I wanted to step it up a notch, I'm using the loose glitter in shade Day 2, also from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and lightly pressing that on with a clean blending brush. To get the glitters to stick to the eyelid, I spritz the brush with setting spray. For mascara, I'm using the Better Than Sex mascara from Too Faced. Now, if you're a makeup artist, you can apply this mascara with a disposable wand. Personally, I'm not a fan of them. I feel like when you purchase a mascara, half of what you're paying for is the applicator itself, right? So to keep everything completely sanitary, I've always chosen to stock up on new mascaras and use a brand new one each time I work on a client. I'll then give it to them or I'll toss it out. I don't want to sound bougie by doing this, but it's just one of those things I gotta do to keep everything sanitary. For a little extra drama, I'm using the individual lashes from Tatti Lashes. Full disclaimer, after reviewing the footage, I realized that these lashes turned out looking a little wonky and uneven. For the life of me, I couldn't find tweezers, so I had to apply them with my fingers. Please don't drag me for this. I know I messed up a bit. I'm not perfect. I'm sorry. I just had to make it work. And once the glue dries down, I'll apply more mascara to make sure that it all blends. For blush, I'm going on top of the cream blush we had used from Nars with the Buxom Wanderlust blush in shade Dolly. I do go a little overboard on this. I don't know if I'm the only one who deals with this struggle, but I find that at least half of the blush disappears by the time I finish the makeup, so I overcompensate a bit for it by adding a little extra. To highlight the skin, I'm going to use 2 different highlighters, both from the same brand, Ofra Cosmetics. The first one is Cloud 9, which has this lavender iridescent undertone to it, which will complement the eyeshadow and blush we used very beautifully. I'm focusing the application of this shade on the high points of the cheeks along with the brow bone. Honestly, I don't usually gravitate to this type of color highlighter, but I wanted to step outside my comfort zone today and try something a little different, which I'm happy I did because it turned out pretty decent. For the rest of the face, I'm using highlighter shade Soho, also by Ofra Cosmetics, and I'm applying this to the Cupid's bow and chin. To apply down the center of the nose, I'm applying the product with my finger rather than a brush, which will give us a stronger highlight than if I were to apply it with a brush. As promised, I'm going back to our mascara from Too Faced to coat the lashes once more. Although I'm focusing the mascara at the root of the lashes to cover any residue of glue that might be left over, I will bring it up slightly towards the end of the individuals just to make it appear more like her natural lash. To begin the lips, I'm starting out with a lip liner from Morphe in a shade called Sweet Tea. It's a brownish nude color that looks pretty great on most skin tones. I'm using this pencil to outline the lips while keeping the center of the lips bare for the next product we're using. I hope you don't mind me showing this footage in real time. I just want you guys to see the time it takes to apply certain products, and I don't want to set unrealistic expectations of results that happen in a snap of a finger, because it doesn't go down that way, ever, usually. The technique of applying and blending is sometimes more important than the actual product you're using, and coming from me, that's saying a lot, because I'm so carefree in most of my application process, and I always have the mindset that it's just makeup and it's not that serious. Anything can be fixed. But there's a time and place to be patient and to focus on the details, and the lip liner is definitely one of them. Alrighty, so now that I have the lips lined, I'm using a matte lipstick from Urban Decay in the shade Heartless, and I'm applying this to the center of the lips. I want this to look really natural, so to get that worn in look, I'm using my finger to press in the product and to blend outwards into the lip liner. If you're somebody who prefers a matte lip, you can totally stop here, but because I want a glossy finish for this look, I'm going to use a lip gloss from Anastasia Beverly Hills in the shade Peachyyy. Usually when I use a gloss, I choose one that's more on the sheer side, which is why I apply all of my color pigments first with the liners and lipsticks. Sometimes I find that when a gloss is too opaque, the pigment tends to separate throughout the day, which isn't the most flattering look. Using a powder puff, I'm then going to bake the jawline with our translucent powder. I've saved this as one of the last steps because I'll only be leaving this powder on for just a few minutes, just to sharpen and strengthen our contour. While the bake sits, I'm going to coat the bottom lashes lightly with the Too Faced mascara. It was probably around this time that I realized that pinning Veronica's curls up to set was completely pointless. At first, I was going to have a soft Hollywood wave moment, but then changed my mind and decided to have her hair effortlessly wind-blown back into a low bun, which you'll see soon in the final look. Many people don't know, but I do hair as well, and it's a little trait I picked up over the years after being around so many insanely talented stylists on set. If you want me to film hair tutorials for any of the looks you see in my videos or on my Instagram, just let me know and I can make that happen. So I've just brushed off the baked powder with a large fluffy face brush, and now I'm using the KKW Beauty Skin Perfecting Body Shimmer to finish off this look. This is in the shade Gold. I've used so many other alternatives to give the body that fresh off the beach glow. You can use your highlighter or even mix your highlighter in with your moisturizer. You can use body oil, you can use sunscreen. There's so many options, but this makes for the perfect finishing touch for the final look. And And there we have it, kids. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to let me know by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. I do read all of the comments you guys write to me, and I can't thank you enough for all of the love and the support and the kindness that you guys have shown to me these last few weeks since starting my YouTube channel. It definitely makes me want to create more and more and more content for you all. So thank you. I can't wait to create more content and post more for you. So until then, I'll see you soon.